If you're like me, you always enjoy planning ahead and seeing how much you can get into a trip. I know when I ride down these roads, I always enjoy looking at all the wildlife. However, there's nothing better than getting into the Smoky Mountains themselves, riding through the streets, and seeing where you might want to stop in and explore just a little bit more. As you begin driving down these streets, you can become overwhelmed with everything that is here, trying to determine where you want to go, what you want to see, and how much you can squeeze into your vacation itself. I mean, after all, the Smokies is so massive with all the opportunities you have to get out there and explore, whether it be hiking, shopping, or family-friendly activities. There is so much to see and do here. And you can't forget about the food options that are available throughout. Whether you're in Cherokee, North Carolina, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, wherever your path takes you, you're going to want to try to see just how much you can get into that trip and make sure that it is perfect. However, that is where we can get lost and ignore the unseen beauties that lie out here in the Great Smoky Mountains themselves. And that is where I want this trip to focus today. People always ask me why I visit the Smokies, what it is that makes it so special to me. Well, check this out. Look at that view. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? You can't help but get lost in the mountains themselves. With that being said, there is a lot to explore in those little valleys. My favorite thing is the flowers. With every season, there is something new that is in bloom and just waiting to be viewed and photographed in its entirety. So every moment that I can, I'm always out and about, exploring the Smokies, seeing what I can find that links back to my heritage. Yes, the Appalachian and Cherokee roots that I possess. I always find it so intriguing to check out the flowers that are blooming in the Smokies, especially this flower right here. You know, they always say that adventures fill our soul. For me, it is journeys that fill my soul. It is through each of these journeys that I can find my roots. I am always trying to find ways to get back to my Cherokee roots. And what better way to do that than getting outside and lying beneath the stars, observing those beautiful fireflies as they send their messages to one another. This is almost reminiscent of how the Cherokee used to send smoke signals or would communicate with one another during the dark. There's so much to love about my heritage that I often just find myself out in the Smokies, exploring nature, looking up into the stars, and of course the fireflies during the summer months, wondering what life was like back then. What most people are unaware of is that the traditional life and culture of the Cherokee typically resembles the Creek tribe or some other tribes of the Southeast. So what this essentially means is that it is people of a different speech. That is what the Creek word meaning is derived from. So essentially, you will find the Cherokee lived primarily in the Appalachian Mountains, part of Georgia, eastern Tennessee, North Carolina, and even South Carolina. So life back then was pretty much widespread. In fact, they spent most of their time weaving baskets, making pottery, growing their own gardens, as I still do myself today, trying to practice many of these Cherokee cultural aspects as possible. They would even make their own jewelry from various types of beads, which they would often cultivate from the earth. This is one of the many reasons I love getting out and exploring. The Cherokee were also strong believers in herbal plant medicines. In fact, the resurrection fern, as seen here, was typically one thing that was closely dear to the Cherokee. The resurrection fern is essentially an evergreen fern which binds to growing trees. This fern will die out when it lacks water, but it will revitalize back to life, flourishing when it gets a little water. It is interesting how one plant can appear to die out in periods of drought. However, once it gets a little bit of water, it is brought back to life, essentially resurrected once again. So no matter where you find yourself in the Smoky Mountains, there's always something new to uncover and explore with each seasonal change, like these beautiful trilliums, always showing different colors throughout the Smokies. No matter what area you visit, there's always a new color and a new flower to find. Whether it be that beautiful white, which to me represents new life and purity, a beautiful pink, which is simply gorgeous to look at, or you may even find a daisy or two lying over the greenery draped ground. No matter what you find, know that the Cherokee had a lot of belief in native plants and medicine. So as you go through the Smokies, make sure you take a moment to just sit back and take in all of this beauty. Sure, the wildlife is fun to enjoy. It is always fun to go to a new place and check out the shops. But think about what it is that is missing in your life. For me, I can always connect when I get back to my roots and explore the Smoky Mountains, one aspect at a time. Please subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up. I can't wait to see you on our next journey as we explore a journey through an Appalachian heart.